Hi everyone, welcome to episode 46 of A Fern Between Us. I am only one of the four owners this week of Vivac Winery. I am Michelle Padberg, and today we have a guest, Piper Dominguez. Our second co-host, Jesse, who's usually my sidekick for this, is in the other room doing a media event, which is super cool. So we're excited about that. We'll see if the internet holds tight. Last week, as you guys saw, we got dumped towards the end because our bandwidth couldn't hold all of our devices that were simultaneously going. So we'll see how it goes. Needless to say, I'm really excited to have Piper on today's show. It is really hard coming up on a year, as we all know. We've been at home, we're struggling with doing homeschooling and working from home and our relationships, and it all starts to take a taxing amount of energy. And what is amazing is there's people like Piper who can actually help us get back on track. She is a certified holistic kinesiologist, certified in coaching. She's also the chapter chair for Powerful Women Today. She's a mom, she's a wife, she's a career woman, and just an overall spectacular human being. Piper, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So, how did you decide that you wanted to do this as a career?
I feel like it was a process of following kind of the steps. I thought about doing one thing and kind of followed that for a little while, and then that led me to something else, and then that led me to something else, and I finally came to coaching, and it was the thing that allowed me to kind of take all these different things I had done and put them into one modality, if you will, and be able to pull from those different things to better serve people. And I knew I wanted to be my own boss, work for myself. I wanted to have that time freedom to raise my kids and be present at home and support my husband, who is also an entrepreneur and has his own business. And so it was something that I felt like would allow me to do all those things and still make a living and do something that was mine, and be able to contribute and serve more people. So that's kind of how it's kind of like you just follow the path and it kind of leads you forward.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a natural progression.
Yes, it was.
And
it didn't feel like it at the time. Like there were many moments I thought, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
Right?
But now at this point, yes.
I can't tell you how many times we had that exact experience starting this winery, where you get further and further into it, and then you say, are we crazy?
Right, exactly. Like, what are we doing?
And as a quick aside, I do want to mention that Piper's husband is Michael Dominguez, who we are lucky enough to have stolen onto our team. He is an incredible wine personality in the New Mexico wine world and greater. He is doing some amazing things, and we can't wait to start down the road of bubbly with his knowledge. So we're super excited to have him on Team Vivac. All right, so excuse me, I got so excited I choked. As we get into looking at some of the questions that people wrote in, what are some of the common issues that you actually find when someone comes to you to join one of your sessions, or you do multi-week, what do you call them, camps? Would you call it a camp?
No, I call them, it's a program. It's, right now I mostly work one-on-one with people, and I usually work for a minimum of 6 months with somebody, because the type of work that I do is it's fairly deep work, and sometimes it takes a little while to uncover what's really happening and to work through the blocks and to work towards whatever goal somebody comes in with. And I mostly work with women. I have worked with some men in the past, and however, I mostly work with women, busy entrepreneurs, moms, women who are struggling with work and life balance. You know, I feel like as you probably know, as an entrepreneur, as a woman who has her own business and as a mom, there's a lot that we have on our plates. There's a lot that I feel like women juggle, and I feel like there's a lot of social and gender roles that are placed upon us, so we're conditioned to kind of take on more. And so I really work with women to learn how to put themselves as a priority in their life and really create the life that they want to live, as opposed to what they think they should live or what somebody has told them they need to live. And so we really cut through a lot of the old programming and the old beliefs that they're hanging on to in order to create something new.
Wow. I mean, it sounds like therapy, right?
It's a little bit like therapy, but the difference between a coach, which is what I am, vice a therapist, is that I meet you where you're at right now, and then we look at how we're going to move forward. So it's a very, like, in the now and in the future, moving forward, as opposed to looking at what has happened in your past. Although there are aspects of coaching where we do go back and look at some belief work. There's some mindset work where we do look at, you know, where some beliefs have come from, and then we look at, okay, how are we going to shift that, and what is the new belief or the new habit that needs to be established so that you can move forward towards your goal. Oh, sorry, almost pulled my leg down.
That is really amazing. I think that a lot of people are going to get a lot out of these questions because you're going straight for the gold here already. The first question is, right? Feeling like we do so much as women, as moms, to get things done in a day, but it's still not enough. Working from home, but also helping the kids with online school is really rough. How would you help, you know, all these moms that are, and dads too? I know that often we fall into that where we're always talking about the moms taking care of the kids, but there are a lot of dads out there that are stay-at-home dads at this point too.
Absolutely, and I totally agree with you, especially with our current the current nature of our environment of having to be at home more. I think that there's a lot of men who are suddenly taking on responsibility that maybe they didn't take on before. I would say, you know, so much of this, because this is one of my favorite things to talk about and to help them move through, having moved through this myself, is, it sounds sometimes so cliche, but the importance of self-care and really learning how to establish good boundaries is another one. Because what happens, I feel like, is that with women, again, we're conditioned to think, or we have done it for so long that we just put everybody else's needs in front of our own, thinking that they are more, it's not that we think that they're more important, but we have this idea that, well, if I don't do it, then it's not going to get done. Or if I'm not there to help, then what's going to happen? You know, my child might fail, or this might, you know, go to chaos. And yet we start to act from a place of disempowerment, because whenever we're putting people before ourselves, we're giving our power away. And so we have to learn how to, number one, really harness our own power, create better boundaries, know how to kind of restore our energy reserves, because we all have them. And I think that part of the problem is we think we have to take like all this time to do for ourselves something nourishing or something that feels good to reset. And sometimes all it takes is just like 5 minutes. Sometimes all it takes is just an effort to watch where our energy is going and know how to recharge. So there's a lot to this.
No. And I also...
many layers of it, depending on kind of where you're at in how you are prioritizing your day.
I can absolutely see how this could be an entire episode question. I have a follow-up, right? I have a follow-up and maybe it's just super naive of a question, but how do you even create a boundary within your family? I feel like I can create boundaries with work and tasks and events and outside needs, but I'm really not very good at creating boundaries within my home.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a struggle for so many people, and especially women. And so it really starts with getting clear on what your own personal boundaries are, what your values are. And then it's with our families, it's hard because they're the first people that we can act out with, because we know that we'll still be loved. We know that they'll still forgive us even if we make a mistake most of the time. Okay, and so with our families, we have to come to a place where we decide that we are no longer going to tolerate a certain situation, or we are not going to tolerate allowing something happening, or giving our time. And there's ways to gently do this with your family members so that they also don't have their feelings hurt. And so it's really about getting clear on what that looks like for you, and then letting your family know, like, okay, this is something that's happening, and I'm no longer okay with this, and this is where I need your support to help me, to establish and hold this space for myself, to hold this boundary. Like, there's a really gentle way of doing it, but it's really about getting clear on what you need and where, because it's like, if you can hold boundaries outside your family, there's places where you're still probably not holding those boundaries as well as you maybe think that you are. And so it's like, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So you have to kind of make sure it's happening in both parts of your life.
Boy, that really resonates, and I'm going to have to get a notebook out and start journaling. Our second question is how to have the me time and not feel guilty. I think that's something that,
oh my gosh, yes.
As women, we tend to struggle with, as moms even more compound.
Absolutely. And this is a huge thing that I work with is that guilt, because it comes up in so many lives, especially for moms, because we feel pulled. And it goes back to setting up those boundaries for yourself. And, guilt is one of those things that oftentimes is a result from our beliefs. It's where we haven't felt loved enough, or we haven't felt good enough. And so it is one of those emotions that I work with so it's about reframing your identity of who you are and what is okay and what's not okay, and looking at kind of the opposite side. So it's like, it's really important to say, like, okay, if this is happening in my life and I'm feeling guilty about it, then it's usually not the other people, it's usually within yourself. And so, what might happen if you continue to act like this and allow this to happen? The guilt just builds, and then it becomes anger and resentment, and like it snowballs. And then we project it out, and it's just not a good situation. And so it's really about offering yourself a little bit of self-love, a little bit of self-care. And it's not always looking like having a manicure or pedicure or getting a massage. Like, self-care is really about self-love, and it's about changing your thoughts. It's about being kinder to yourself. It's about offering yourself 5 minutes a day where you can just sit and breathe with your own thoughts. Or it's about seeking help from a coach or a therapist to help you work through those hard things so that you're not projecting out onto your family. And so it's not a hard thing, but I hear that a lot from women, like they don't have time for themselves. And yet I always tell people, if you don't take time for yourself, you are offering out to the world the like C version of yourself, as opposed to like offering out to the world that like A+ version, the person that most of us want to offer out. And so it's about really looking at both sides of things and really learning how to reframe that I don't have time for myself, because that's a lie. There's a fear behind it, and there's a guilt there, and so it's really about uncovering what that's about.
Wow. That's a whole lot of concept to really take in and sit with. That is a lie. That just really, that really hit me. That's, okay.
We have time for everything that we need. We really do. And so if we're saying, I don't have time for this, well, where you do, but you're not making the time. You're not giving yourself permission to offer yourself a little bit of nourishment, or a little bit of self-love, or a little bit of self-care, or something that would feel really good for you. And so it's really about changing those patterns and those beliefs to be more in alignment with what you really want.
That's beautiful. All right, so the third question is, how do you not lose your identity once you become a mom? And what are some healthy ways to help your children and family members learn to respect that moms have needs too? So it kind of ricochets off that last one. I love this question because it is about building your family, looking at you a little differently, as well as looking at yourself differently.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love this question. And it's such a common thing to do as moms and as women. And there's a couple things I want to offer out here. First, it's really about deciding that you're not going to lose yourself in your children or your family, and that's a choice. And so, it's about, part of that is knowing really who you are as a mom, who you are as a wife or a partner, and how you want to show up in the world, with not only in the world of outside of your family unit, but also within your family. And I believe that it's totally possible to show up and not have the guilt of like wanting to work or wanting to do something for yourself, and still be an amazing mom and raise amazing kids. And that's where the guilt comes in. Like, we think that we can't do both, and it's a very like black and white way of thinking about things. And in life, like, there's a lot of gray. And so it also piggybacks on a little bit of that, like setting boundaries. When we are constantly catering to everybody else's demands or everybody else's seemingly, important needs, then we are, again, giving our power away. We're allowing them or other people in our life to dictate what's happening in our life. And so it's about, like, your kids are gonna be okay if you spend some time doing for you, and it will benefit them, because then they'll see that that's what a healthy relationship looks like. That's what a healthy mom looks like. At some point, your kids they're gonna leave, and then when right? I know. I have two little boys too, so it's like, what? They're gonna leave me? But it's like holding on to those things that you really value, and making an effort to prioritize them in your life, so that you're not giving them up. Because I don't think that it's a matter of giving things up. And it's kind of like there's the law of sacrifice, the laws of the universe that kind of dictate everything. Okay, it talks about giving up something of a lower nature, so something that's not serving, for something of a higher nature. And I think it's so applicable when we talk about parenting and this question, because it's not about not being there for your kids, but it's about doing something for yourself that's of a higher nature, so that they also benefit.
Wow.
So it goes back to that, that do you want to show up as the A+ version or the C+ version? So it's really, really important to make a conscious effort to do for yourself, so that you're not losing yourself and giving your power away to your your family or to your children.
That is brilliant. All right, our final question for today is, how do you stay feeling sexy when you are exhausted all the time? This writer says that she feels like there is no spark left in her relationship at the end of the day.
Yeah, this is another great question, and it again, it comes back to your values. It comes back to self-care. It comes back to who you hold yourself to be. Like, what is your self-image of what you want yourself to look like and how you want to show up in the world. A lot of times when I hear this question, there's other stuff that's happening underneath the question that is very specific to that person. And so it would be, taking time to really look at what's happening there, with intimacy, with yourself, and how well you know yourself, and as well as what's happening with your energy throughout your day. Where are you giving your energy away or depleting it so that you don't have it? Is there some reason why at the end of the day you're not wanting to maybe unconsciously show up, in a sexy way? So there's a lot that could be happening, but it's also about, again, it's bringing consciousness to the things that we want. So if you have a result like you don't feel sexy at the end of your day because you're exhausted, what do you want that to look like instead? Like, what, you're getting a result you don't like, so what do you want instead? And what would you like it to look like? Like, what does sexy even mean to you at the end of your day? Like, what is that? What is that? What does that mean? And then we can kind of reverse engineer a plan to help you feel more sexy throughout your day. If you're showing up in your world, in, not to say that everybody has to wear super fancy lingerie or anything like that, or whatever, but it's like there are ways to help you feel sexy under your definition of sexy, so that you are bringing that to your life, so that you're bringing that to how you're showing up in all areas of your life, not just at the end of your day.
I love that. That is such a fresh and different take on intimacy and how to construct that. I really love that idea of having that, because we actually had some questions last week that were about intimate relationships and keeping that going and how to kind of facilitate that. And one of the things that Jessie had said was, it starts in the morning. Did you take the trash out? There's things that you can do for your partner that start in the morning. And I like the idea of things that you can do starting in the morning for yourself to feel good. I love that.
Exactly, because it's like, for me, intimacy it has to start with you. I can feel super sexy whether I am with my partner or not throughout my day, or even if I have a partner or not. Like, there's a way, it's really about how you're wanting to show up in the world. It's not just about the outer, sexy, or the things that happen during a sexy time, right? So there's a lot that goes with this, but it's a beautiful question, and it really is about intimacy with yourself first.
Wow, Piper, this is so cool and amazing. So how does somebody that's sitting at home watching this, a lot of people like to watch this over the next few days. How do they get involved with you? How do they follow you? How do they participate in one of these exploratory, what would you say?
Yes, exploration, like self-exploration.
Yes.
I'm not sure, some people don't like that word, but one of these guided sessions, like for your well-being and your possibilities out there. So you can always go to my website. I have a calendar there where, if you would like, I offer free 30-minute consultations where you can talk to me, and you can bring bring me a question, or we can just chat. You know, it's really fun, and that's there. You can schedule it.
And
that's
that's
time that you can't, you know, if it doesn't work for you, then you can always reach out to me via email through my website. I'm on Facebook under Piper Dominguez. You can message me there, or on Instagram under Piper Dominguez Coaching.
which is also the website.
PiperDominguez.com.
Yes, Piper Dominguez Coaching.
It's just my name.
Oh, gotcha. PiperDominguez.com.
Yep, PiperDominguez.com. And the only one that's coaching is my Instagram handle.
Got it.
So you can always message me there as well, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. I got so much out of this. I know our viewers are going to get a lot out of it too. Thank you so much. And
Good.
I can't wait to talk to you more.
Yes. Well, thank you. I am so thrilled to have been here with you, and yes, let's connect soon.
Sounds good. Cheers, Piper.
Cheers. Have a lovely evening.
Bye-bye. Well, that was informative. I have so many things to think about as I drink, because again, it's Thursday and this is my self-care. I get to finally drink this week. It's Thursday. Whoop, whoop. I am drinking our Petite Verdot, which unfortunately for all of you is sold out. We did get to sneak into the library selection to pull this, and the reason being because Jesse, again, is doing a media event in the other room. Gotta love Zoom, right? We're all doing Zoom 24 hours a day, and so he gets to connect with people from all over the country and talk about our fabulous Petite Verdot, the high elevation vineyard, the organic farming. It was a 91-point wine with James Suckling, which is super exciting because he is notoriously anti-Petite Verdot. Most people know it as a blending grape, but it's so phenomenal, grown in our vineyard. It's balanced and complex, has great natural acidity, doesn't blast you away with those really harsh flavors that often really require it to be a blending grape. So that's super exciting. And when we were spending a couple of months in Central Europe, as a lot of you know, as I was doing international wine competitions, we did enter this into a Czech Republic international wine competition, and it was awarded a silver, which in competitions in Europe, it is the top 30% of those that got the awarded number ranking. So you can get a number ranking of a silver, but if you are in the high ranking silvers, you won't actually medal. So very different and really exciting. So it means a great deal that our Petite Verdot got a silver over there. It's really amazing. A couple of things before I let you go. We are finally coming up on the wine competition episode. That's going to be next week. So keep sending in your questions for me. You guys sent a bunch in a couple weeks ago, and they're starting to trickle in still. I love seeing some of the stuff that you guys want to know about, and it's all available. So, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're going to talk about how the competitions work, how I got involved, and some of the fun little details that are behind the scenes that maybe you guys don't know about. Another final thing is, don't forget that when you buy a bottle, you plant a tree. So EdenProjects.org is the company that we're working with, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. You definitely want to check that out. And if you buy a bottle of wine at Whole Foods or Jubilation or Medley up in Taos, wherever you're going to go, Del Norte, Coco Man, you're planting a tree. So also come see us at our tasting rooms. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week.